And I'm going to start with Joel Feinman, who is going to be the person who's the challenger and is going to tell you all he wants to tell you in 10 minutes. All right, Joel, he gets to speak.
Thank you, Miriam, and thank you, members and friends and guests of DCSRA, for making it here today. I'm sorry that my opponent had a conflict, but there is nothing else I would rather be doing, and whatever was on my calendar, I would be happy to be here with you to talk about the race. Why am I running? Why am I running against a Democrat? Why am I running against a 20-year incumbent? Why am I running as an ex-public defender who has never prosecuted a case? I think that Ms. Kramer is one of the most intelligent women I've met, and therefore I can be 100% positive she will talk about the fact that I have no prosecutorial experience. Why am I running for chief prosecutor if I spent my career as a public defender? Because I have a vision and a hope for our community. Because I have seen, talking to friends, talking to colleagues, talking to judges, talking to defense attorneys, talking to deputy prosecutors, what we can be. And we can be better than what we are. We can be a more just, a more equal, a more responsible community than what we are. We can treat the members of our community, no matter their skin color, no matter their socioeconomic status, no matter their condition of mental illness, as respectable, responsible human beings. We can be the compassionate people that we proclaim ourselves to be to our neighbors, to our pastors, to our rabbis, and to our friends. And that starts by understanding and reforming our conception of justice. And our conception of justice in this community has gone askew in the past 20 years. Arizona has the 6th highest incarceration rate per capita in the United States. If you break it down globally and you treat every nation like it was its own country, per 100,000 people, we have the 6th highest incarceration rate in the world. Now, my opponent, Ms. Lawal, who I wish was here to answer some questions that I have for her, she told the Pima County Board of Supervisors 2 weeks ago that all the right people are in prison. Well, if we have the 6th highest incarceration rate per capita in the world, that leaves us with 2 options, ladies and gentlemen, only 2 options. Either we have too many people in prison, or Arizonans are the 6th most evil people on the planet. If, as Ms. Lawal told the Pima County Board of Supervisors, the right people are in prison, then we are the 6th most evil people on the planet. We are the 6th most criminal people in the entire world. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. And you know who else doesn't believe it? Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton, Bernie Sanders, Barack Obama. All of our greatest Democratic leaders who say that we have a mass incarceration problem in this country. Everybody agrees except apparently my opponent. Everybody agrees that we have too many people in prison, and I find it odd that we have yet to reach a consensus amongst the county attorney's office that this is the case, because Ms. Lawal published, along with Bill Montgomery and along with Sheila Polk, an op-ed December 15th, 2015, in which she said that crime in Arizona was at a 40 to 50-year low. Violent crime hasn't been this low since 1970s, and property crime hasn't been this low since 1963. If Ms. Lawal is right, why do we have the 6th highest incarceration rate in the world? If all the right people are in prison, why do we incarcerate 5 times more African American brothers and sisters than Caucasian? If all the right people are in prison, why do we incarcerate 3.5 times more of our Native American brothers and sisters than Caucasian? If all the right people are in prison, why do we incarcerate 2.5 times more of our Hispanic brothers and sisters than Caucasian? That is not a statistic. Those are not the statistics of a just community. Why is it that we have 261 more women in Pima County Jail per capita per capita, not total, per capita, 261% more women in Pima County Jail than we did in 1996 when Ms. Lawal took office. Why is that? Crime is at an all-time low. According to the Department of Public Safety, arrests are down 30% since 2002. And yet our felony prosecutions are up 33%. Why? We can do better. It does not have to be this way. This is a choice. And when we claim that, well, we just file the cases the police give us, then we're blaming the police for this mass incarceration problem. I don't blame our law enforcement brothers and sisters. I think that's one of the reasons why our campaign has the endorsement of ASCOPS, one of the largest law enforcement unions in southern Arizona. And Ms. Lawal doesn't have any law enforcement union endorsement. Because I don't blame the police. We have policing problems for sure, but those are being remedied. The TPD is on the forefront of President Obama's 21st Century Policing Initiative, trying to do their best to combat decades of unequal treatment. The police in this community are trying. They admit that we have issues and they are trying to rectify them, but for some reason, our prosecutor can't seem to agree with Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama and Bernie Sanders and the ACLU and the Koch brothers. The ACLU and the Koch brothers have teamed up to form a foundation to study how we can induce mass incarceration in the United States. I submit to you, my friends, that when the ACLU and the Koch brothers say there's a problem, there's probably a problem. We can do better. We can focus our prosecutorial efforts where they belong, on violent crime, on sex crime, on property crime. We can do better. In 2015, fiscal year 2015, the highest percentage of cases that the Pima County Attorney filed were nonviolent drug offenses. I didn't say drug possession. That's one thing that Ms. Lawal likes to talk about. Oh, that's not true. We don't file a lot of drug possession cases. I said nonviolent drug offenses, which includes drug possession, which includes very low-level trafficking and sales. 33% of the cases were non-violent drug offenses. The highest percentage of cases that the Pima County Attorney filed, non-violent drug offenses. And you are paying for that. We are paying for that. It costs $45,000 a year to keep one person in Pima County Jail. $45,000 a year. That is your property tax dollars. I want all you folks to do a little mental experiment for 1 second. Think about the property tax bill you just paid. Get that number in your head. 1 out of every 3 of those dollars went to law and order in Pima County. Sheriffs, courts, prosecutors, public defenders. 1 out of every 3. 63% of the Pima County General Fund goes to law and order. We can do better. $120 to $130 million goes to the jail. And our state government wants to spend more and more money on private prisons and less money on public schools. Part of that responsibility lies with us as voters, and part of that responsibility lies with our elected officials. And there is none more powerful in our system than the prosecutor. They have total discretion. You don't like the fact that we file more drug cases than violent crime? That's the prosecutor's choice. You don't like the fact that we have so many people in jail? The prosecutor is the one who decides whether to offer somebody a probation available plea or a prison only plea. The prosecutor is the one who decides whether to charge somebody with first-degree murder or negligent homicide. That is the prosecutor's choice. And if we do not get a new prosecutor, I am afraid that we will go down the path that we have been trotting for the last 20 or 30 or 40 years, which is a prison nation, a prison state, a prison county, and a prison community. I do not want to live in that community. I do not want to live in a community where we take our poorest citizens, our most mentally ill citizens, our citizens of color, and throw them behind bars because they have a drug problem. I don't want to live there. I want to live in a community where we actually listen to our moral and religious leaders and give people second chances, where we understand that being poor and being mentally ill is not a crime. and that using drugs to solve the pain of poverty or sexual abuse, those 261% increase of women in Pima County Jail, the vast majority of those are there for nonviolent drug offenses. And I can tell you this, when I was a public defender for 8 years, I didn't represent very many women. Most of my clients were men. But I will tell you that I never represented a woman who was not sexually, emotionally, or physically abused as a child. We can do better. We don't have to criminalize poverty. And the way to do better is to elect a new county attorney. Thank you.